The universe is very big. Very, very big. We have discovered thousands of planets in the past 40 years, but that isn't even scratching the surface. There are septillions of planets in the universe. Septillions of opportunities for life. There are an estimated 8.7 million species alive on Earth today, from the average dog to the freaky goblin shark. But humans have only discovered 1.2 million of those species, not even close to all of them. If we can't even find everything on Earth, just imagine what we're missing in the stars. Our first hypothetical species lives on the water world Kepler-22b. Its name, Mortacanthus copernicum. This 14.1-foot long aquatic organism is an apex predator in its ecosystem. Its mouth opens four ways, like a net ready to trap prey. On the back half are four giant tails that it uses to propel itself forward. It breathes using the gills on the bottom fin. Kepler-22, the planet's host star, is very similar to the Sun in the way that they're both yellow dwarfs. They both give off visible light and are very hot. Because of this, Mortacanthus copernicum has developed light-sensing organs on its top and sides, with each eye perceiving a different color, which the animal then pieces together in a full 360-degree image. The second species on our list comes from the exoplanet Wolf 1061c. This planet is 3.4 times more massive than Earth and is much colder. This is because it orbits Wolf 1061, a red dwarf star. Red dwarfs are a lot less powerful and a lot smaller than yellow dwarfs. They mostly give off infrared radiation, which isn't visible to the human eye. The planet is still very close to the star, however, orbiting 92% closer than Earth. Because of this, it is tidally locked, meaning that the planet doesn't spin. One side is in perpetual day, and the other in perpetual night. The only spot that life can live in is a small sliver in the middle. This is what's called a terminator line. The species, Paramastidus einsteini, is covered in a fur-like structure to keep it warm. On the front are specialized organs that can see infrared radiation. It needs these due to the rugged terrain of the planet. It walks around on four legs and uses its giant arms to grab prey and put it into the mouth, which is in the abdominal area. Unlike all life on Earth, which is carbon-based, Paramastidus einsteini is silicon-based. Also, instead of breathing oxygen, it breathes hydrogen. It then uses this hydrogen in an exothermic reaction to heat up its whole body, especially the unprotected arms. Clocking in at 5.4 feet long, it is primarily a carnivore. The next species comes from the planet Gliese 667cc. The host star is a red dwarf in a triple star system, meaning that three stars are orbiting each other. The planet, being almost 4 times the mass of Earth, is also tidally locked. The life form on this planet, Larvatum Hubble, is relatively small, only 9 inches long. It uses infrared sensing organs to perceive its surroundings and feeds on microbes in the air. It has specialized wings that help it soar through the carbon dioxide-rich atmosphere and then collects the air with small openings in its tail. It's not the most ferocious thing on its planet, but it's very good at being the fastest. The fourth species comes from Kepler-69c, a super-Earth with an average temperature of 1,527 degrees Fahrenheit. Due to this intense heat, the giant salt deposits on this planet have melted into sodium chloride oceans. Our species, Xenobstractus naeum, floats atop these salt oceans in search for food. It camouflages itself as a rock covered in a moss-like substance. Due to Kepler-69 being a yellow dwarf, many non-moving species on Kepler-69c have evolved to be green due to the light waves. A good portion of life on Earth has 2 genders, male and female. This likely isn't the case for most alien species. They could have 2 genders, but they could also have 4, or 8, or maybe only 1. This species has 6. The primary gender is the largest, reaching 6.3 feet long. The other 5 genders are only 10 inches long. They have a light-sensing organ on the bottom of their front half in order to see obstacles. It moves by flapping the fins on its sides. It then lures prey with nutrient-rich tentacles that hang from its body. As we move on to our next planet, we begin to notice some time dilation. Nova 963-2b is a distant planet. Yes, planet is an actual scientific term. It's the name for a planet that orbits a black hole instead of a star. The black hole in question here is Nova 963-2, a black hole roughly the size of Jupiter. Our planet is in just the right spot so that it doesn't get pulled in by the event horizon of the singularity. Nova 963-2b is about 50% more massive than Earth, but it doesn't have an atmosphere. So how could life exist on this world? The answer is in the crust. Life lives within the lava shafts and underground caves that are scattered in the crust of this planet. The species here is Crawlodile azimavum. It's a very weird organism that has a hard exterior surface. It has two openings, one that takes in methane, as that's what it breathes, and one that creates a chemical reaction that causes flammable substances to be expelled, propelling the organism further. Being 4 inches long, it can easily propel through the dirt and eat small organisms digging through. The next place, luckily, isn't next to a black hole. Instead, deGrasse Tyson 195 BC1 is an exomoon that orbits a red dwarf. The red dwarf is then in a binary system with a yellow dwarf. deGrasse Tyson 195 BC1 orbits a gas giant and has a primarily methane atmosphere. On average, the temperature is 44 degrees Fahrenheit, allowing oceans of liquid water. The largest species on this moon is Scyphos nobellum. This odd animal is 31.2 feet long and herbivorous. Since deGrasse Tyson 195b is a very weak red dwarf, there isn't much light that reaches the surface. Because of this, the creatures here don't have eyes. The star is also the reason for the transparent body, as it allows harmful infrared radiation to easily pass through. On its neck, there is a chamber that produces sound. This sound is distributed into the bottom half of the animal, causing it to vibrate and thus move it forward. Scyphos nobellum lives in herds and is always moving. It then has an organ in the back that produces electricity, warming the creature up during the 2-week-long night periods. Next up is VCRO-2c, a planet about 64% the mass of Earth but with a 20% larger radius. Orbiting a yellow dwarf and having a very hot average temperature, life here is very specialized. The arsenic-based life form Cyanoides rubinus is a mainly soft, marshmallow-like creature that breathes methane. It has hard shells that it can hide under in intensely lit areas. It can interpret its environment using sensory organs on the back of its head. The colors, white and brown, help protect it from intense light. Being 9.2 feet tall, it can easily absorb smaller organisms and feed on them. For the 8th animal on our list, we have Pseudocal newtoni, one of the strangest creatures in the galaxy. It lives on K272e, a hot, tidally locked super-Earth orbiting a red dwarf. The weather cycle on this planet moves the sodium chloride oceans around to the front, where they proceed to boil. Then, they are brought back to the Terminator line in order to cool down and the cycle repeats. Pseudocal newtoni doesn't live in the Terminator line like most other life on K272e. That's because this animal has evolved in a special way to survive the intense heat. It uses armor to reflect infrared radiation, but also accelerates trapped air in its body to keep it cool. It then has a valve that takes in boiling sodium chloride and another intake valve on top for N2. This creature never moves, and instead plants itself on beaches. It's like a giant alien barnacle. The next species comes from LHS 1140b. It's 5.6 times the mass of Earth, freezing, and orbits a red dwarf. With an average temperature of -2 degrees, the surface is ice. But there is an ocean under the surface. There's also an area called the Eye, in which the side of the planet facing the star melts, creating a circle of ocean. Aquaves whales is a keystone species in the entirely aquatic ecosystem of this planet. It's arsenic-based and breathes hydrogen through the water. Coming in at 22.4 feet long, this species serves as housing for many smaller organisms. They live in the feather-like structures that form rings, which are used to propel the creature forward. It then eats small organisms with its 8-way opening mouth. The species also produces bioluminescence, creating stunning imagery in this planetary ocean. Unfortunately, after witnessing some marvelous species, we have to look at a bug. Tripistis bryocoxy, a small, insect-like creature, lives on Hawking 1b, one of the most hostile planets for life to evolve on. This is because of the star it orbits, Hawking 1. It's a neutron star, a very powerful and very dangerous star. It emits a lot of X-ray radiation, which Tripistis accounts for with a gray surface. Still, it isn't enough, so they usually live in caves. They're very small because of the intense gravity. Hawking 1b is 8.4 times the mass of Earth and very hot. yet the surface is very dark due to the thick atmosphere. Tribessus bryocoxy has 3 genders, all of which experiencing gender dimorphism, which is the term for when the genders of a species have different features. Xenobstractus naium also experiences this. One of the genders is completely immobile. It nurtures the young until they leave the nest. Then, it dies. The other 2 hunt for food and collect water. What a weird species.
Wow, aliens. Okay, so this is a cool topic because I think the universe is like crazy vast, right? And hundreds and billions of galaxies out there. So when I think of our galaxy and just what could be here versus other galaxies that could be very similar to ours or very different, I think of aliens as looking like living organisms that are just very different and adapted to their environment. So, like in a galaxy or a planet in a galaxy that maybe has crazy amounts of gravity, like the aliens are going to be super short. Or like if they live somewhere that there's not a lot of light, then the aliens are going to have big bulging eyes and things like that. So do I think that I think aliens exist because there has to be other galaxies out there that are like ours, right? And if we can survive and we've adapted to our environment, then there has to be more out there. But I think they're going to look very different depending on the condition.
Before we move on, we need to define some terms. First, an exoplanet is any planet that resides outside of our solar system. An exomoon is that, but with a moon instead. So far, no exomoons have been confirmed, but over 6,000 exoplanets have been discovered. Going back to somewhat larger species, we have Ignorachus virus, a highly intelligent species that lives on Lytton B. Almost 3 times the mass of Earth and orbiting a red dwarf, life has to be very strong on this planet. Ignorachus has very strong muscles that help it stay upright. It can jump around using its 5 legs and has developed an intelligence similar to early hominids. It has many predators, but it can fend them off with an acidic spray emitted from the rear end. It then has sensory organs on the front in order to perceive its environment. It has lungs that inflate and deflate, making it appear larger than it actually is. This animal's biochemistry is iron-based and uses ethane instead of oxygen. The next species is the largest on the list. It lives on Ross 128b, a tidally locked planet orbiting a red dwarf. Clocking in at 43.3 feet tall, including the tentacle, Non-Est Griseus saginus is a giant. It uses helium held in a wafer-thin membrane to float through the sky. It has bristles on the head that collect water vapor. It uses the hydrogen in that water vapor to breathe. The tentacle attached to the body is 21.9 feet long, and at the bottom are 2 finger-like appendages that it uses to grab prey and then digest it into an opening at the end of the tentacle. The name, Non-Est Griseus saginus, is Latin for Sagan's It's Not a Gray. Carl Sagan was a famous astronomer who was a pioneer in theoretical studies. The second part, It's Not a Gray, refers to the common trope of aliens looking like small gray humanoid, or grays. This likely isn't the case because such a species would have to live in the same atmosphere with the same density and chemical makeup, as well as live in an environment so similar to Earth that it experienced convergent evolution and ended up looking like a human.